In one of the harshest crackdowns in recent years, a Chinese court has sentenced 11 members of the infamous Ming family to death, marking a dramatic end to one of Asia's most notorious cross-border criminal syndicates. This wasn't just a case of fraud or gambling, it was a billion-dollar empire built on deception, trafficking, and death. A sprawling criminal network that turned a quiet border town in Myanmar into the global epicenter of cyber scams. For nearly a decade, the Ming family ruled the remote town of Laukkaing in Myanmar's Shan state, near the Chinese border. Once a sleepy outpost, Laukkaing was transformed into a fortress of vice, home to illegal casinos, drug trafficking, prostitution, and massive online scam centers. The Ming clan wasn't alone. They were one of four powerful families who controlled the region, running their own fiefdoms and making billions by exploiting desperate workers and unsuspecting victims across Asia. According to Chinese authorities, the Ming family's operations alone generated over 10 billion yuan, that's about 1.4 billion US dollars, through their gambling and telecommunications fraud businesses. At the height of their power, Laukkaing was described by investigators as the engine room of the scamdemic, a criminal phenomenon the United Nations says has enslaved more than 100,000 foreign nationals, mostly from China, Thailand, and other neighboring countries. These individuals were lured by fake job offers only to be imprisoned in scam compounds, stripped of their passports, and forced to work around the clock, running fake investment schemes, romance scams, and crypto frauds targeting victims worldwide. The Ming family's most notorious compound, known as Crouching Tiger Villa, reportedly held over 10,000 workers. Survivors describe brutal torture, beatings, and killings of those who tried to escape or resist. The downfall began in late 2023 when Myanmar's military junta, under heavy pressure from Beijing, launched a crackdown in Shan state. Hundreds of suspects were detained, and the Ming family, once untouchable, suddenly found themselves out of power. China demanded extradition, and Myanmar handed over dozens of gang leaders, including members of the Ming clan. The family's patriarch, Ming reportedly took his own life as authorities closed in. This week, a Chinese court in Wenzhou handed down its verdict. 11 members of the Ming family sentenced to death. 5 members received death sentences with a 2-year suspension. 11 others were given life sentences, and the remaining 12 family members received prison terms ranging from 5 to 24 years. In total, 39 members of the Ming family were convicted of crimes including telecommunications fraud, illegal gambling, drug trafficking, and murder. According to the court, since 2015, the Ming family and other associated criminal groups had created a parallel economy of illegal activity, a shadow world that fueled addiction, debt, and death. In one particularly gruesome case, gang enforcers shot several workers trying to flee their compound to prevent them from returning to China. Dozens more are believed to have died from abuse or exhaustion inside scam centers. The court's ruling sends a clear message. China is determined to stamp out cross-border crime, especially those that exploit its citizens. China's pressure has already rippled across Southeast Asia. In 2023, Myanmar's crackdown dismantled many scam hubs in Shan state. In 2024, Beijing forced Thailand to act against similar criminal centers operating along its border. Now, with Laukkaing's networks dismantled, Cambodia has become the new haven for such operations, showing how the business continues to adapt and relocate. Despite China's decisive sentences, experts warn that the fraud industry remains resilient, shifting across borders faster than enforcement can keep up. Laukkaing's rise and fall reveal much about the dark underside of globalization and law enforcement gaps. The town's casinos were originally built to attract Chinese gamblers, since gambling is illegal in mainland China. But over time, they became a front for money laundering and cybercrime on an industrial scale. At its peak, each of Laukkaing's 4 family-run casinos was estimated to process several $billions a year, operating under the protection of local militias and corrupt officials. For years, China looked the other way. But as the scams began targeting millions of Chinese citizens and creating public outrage, Beijing had no choice but to intervene. The sentencing of the Ming family marks a turning point in China's battle against cross-border scams, but it also raises deeper questions. How could such massive criminal networks thrive for nearly a decade? And even now, with dozens executed or jailed, can the cycle truly be broken when poverty, corruption, and demand for illegal gambling persist across the region? For the victims trapped inside these compounds, justice may have finally begun. But for Southeast Asia's shadow economy, where billions are still being made through online deceit, this is likely just another chapter in a much larger ongoing war.